Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 18, Echoes of the Ancients. Sharika stood beside her Sony FX3, the camera mounted firmly on a low tripod set atop the stone-paved temple courtyard. The golden hue of the setting sun draped her face as she gazed, transfixed, at the living miracle unfolding before her. She was at the threshold of time, witnessing a vision conjured not by modern engineering, but by a mind centuries old. It was 5:58 p.m., March 21st, the Equinox. For 43 more minutes, the celestial choreography would continue, sunlight piercing perfectly through each tier of the 7-storied gopuram of the Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Every beam aligned with divine precision. A celestial thread drawn across centuries, each beam of light a whisper from antiquity. Yet, while her eyes drank in the grandeur of the moment, her mind reeled through the quiet of recent months. Sachin had disappeared from her radar for more than a month. No activities, no smart tag movements, no new codes, clues, or chaos. And then on November 17th, Sachin's signal pinged in Lapchala, the Himalayan corridor used by ancient traders. Then he moved to the Indo-Nepal border near Sonali and stayed there for 2 weeks. In December, he moved to the Thar Desert. The satellite map of the location showed new buildings, constructions, and massive solar panels instead of the ocean of sand dunes it once was. But there were no movements from Sachin after that. A desert, a mountain pass, and then nothing. No explanation. And in his silence, she had found space to breathe again, to study, to think. The Roots of Power, A Historian's Awakening. It began as an academic project, her capstone, a journey into the royal bloodlines and sacred temples of South India. But soon it had become something deeper, more personal. The names that filled ancient epics, Pandyas, Cholas, Cheras, were not myths. They were real, documented, mapped, and inscribed. They had built cities, shaped continents, and crafted temples that rivaled anything in Europe or China. She began with the Pandyas and Cholas, both of whom found mention even in the Mahabharata and Ramayana. Sharika had never truly believed in the epics. God, for her, had died with her parents in the cold wreckage of a plane crash. Her past devotions now felt like echoes of a forgotten child. But history was real, and it was stranger, richer, and more brutal than any myth. The Pandyas ruled from Madurai as early as the 4th century BCE. Though less dominant than northern empires like the Mauryas or Guptas, they thrived in the shield of the eastern Ghats and the river Krishna, away from foreign invasions. Still, their military was weak, relying on princely states for troops. It was from one such minor state near Thanjavur that a firebrand rose, Karikala Chola, a minor chieftain who couldn't bear the smallness of his world. Karikala defeated the Pandyas and declared himself emperor of Tamil Nadu. His reign was not just of war, but of creation. He built hospitals, temples, and the legendary Kalanai Dam, still standing, still working, 2,000 years later. He marched north until the Himalayas loomed before him. He moved east until every shore along the Bay of Bengal bowed to his banners. But after his death, the Cholas dissolved again into minor states. Thanjavur rises, Vijayalaya to Parantaka. In the 9th century, another spark, Vijayalaya Chola, burning with the same ancestral ambition, seized Thanjavur, defeating both the Pallavas and the Pandyas. From the Kaveri Delta, rich in silt and spirit, he planted his empire. His grandson Parantaka I would claim Madurai, once the proud Pandya capital. That marked the beginning of a new epoch, the imperial Cholas. Parantaka's great-grandson was Parantaka Chola II, and his son Aditya Karikala fascinated Sharika. He was only 12 when he led his first war. By 15, he had defeated and beheaded the Pandya king Veerapandya in single combat, commanding just a single battalion. Sharika lingered on that scene in her mind. In that era, to lead an army was not a symbolic act. It was swords, blood, and the physical toll of war. And Aditya had done what seasoned generals could not. A child in age, but a god in battle. He later defeated the Maratha invasions, while his younger brother seized Sri Lanka. Yet, Aditya died mysteriously at 28, never ascending the throne. Historians believe that if he had, the entire Indian subcontinent might have come under Chola rule. Instead, that destiny fell to his brother, Rajaraja Chola, hailed as the King of Kings. He didn't just rule, he expanded, northward to Odisha, west to Kerala, and east across the Bay of Bengal. Under his son Rajendra Chola, the empire reached even further. Rajaraj and his son Rajendra Chola built an empire that stretched from Tamil Nadu to Indonesia, swallowing Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and even parts of Vietnam. They ruled the Bay of Bengal, conquered Kerala, and turned South India into the trade capital of the world. Their might was not only military. The Cholas became master builders. They patronized art, dance, Tamil literature, and temples that rivaled even those in the north. Sharika's fingers traced the maps she printed from her research. She could see the bay-strewn coasts, the palm-lined deltas, the floating harbors of Sumatra, the spice-rich winds of Java, and she could see something else: the decline. Power lost and buried, the fall. After Rajendra, the Cholas faltered. Maintaining such a vast empire in that time required immense skill, something his successors lacked. By the 13th century, the Pandyas, reborn under Maravarman Kulasekara Pandyan, reclaimed the south. But their light, too, was brief. By the 14th century, Delhi's Tughlaqs marched south. The Cholas and Pandyas were no match. Their capitals fell. Power shifted to the Vijayanagara Empire, which appointed the Nayaks, a Telugu dynasty, to rule in their stead. The mighty Pandyas were reduced to a shadow in Tirunelveli, a small city cradled by the Tamirabarani River, its dry hills and scattered groves whispering of former glory. They would never reclaim what they lost. But in Kerala, the story took another turn. While the Pandyas and Cholas clashed over the Tamil plains, the Chera dynasty flourished along the western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. Their strength was in trade, especially pepper, cardamom, and other spices that made Kerala famous. They didn't have vast armies compared to the Pandyas or Cholas. After the decline of the Cholas, they fragmented into tiny kingdoms. One of these was Venad, a very small princely state with the area of less than a small district in Kerala. From that province emerged Marthanda Varma, a man Sharika compared to Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and Babur. He was ruthless, brilliant, ambitious. Like them, he defeated rivals from his own family and consumed surrounding territories slowly, including Tirunelveli. He overpowered Mysore's Sultanate, the father of Tipu Sultan, and, most dramatically, annihilated the Dutch at the Battle of Colachel in 1741. It was the first time a European colonial power was defeated by a native kingdom in the world. This event echoed across the world, planting seeds of doubt in imperial minds. Even the British feared Marthanda and his successor, Ramavarma. But what intrigued Sharika most wasn't war. It was what these kings built: temples that served as religious centers, treasuries, and political fortresses. Religion, she realized, was a tool of statecraft. Still is. The Cholas and Pandyas worshipped Shiva. The Cheras were Vaishnavas, who worshipped Lord Vishnu. The religious tensions and flames of rebellion from conquered regions became a threat to Marthanda Varma. He knew that was also a reason for the fall of the Pandya and Chola kingdoms after their golden age. And then, in a move of divine politics, Marthanda Varma gave his kingdom to Lord Vishnu in a ritual known as Thrippadadanam. From then on, the kings of Travancore would rule as Padmanabhadasa, servants of God. Sharika had once dismissed such gestures as religious fluff, but now she saw it for what it was: a genius strategy. When power is claimed by divinity, who can rebel? The temple and the tunnel. Rising at the heart of Thiruvananthapuram, the Padmanabhaswamy Temple is set within a massive granite wall, enclosing 7 acres of temple complex, punctuated by a 7-storied, elaborately carved gopuram. The tower soars over 100 feet in height, covered in hundreds of figures of deities and mythical beasts, painted in ochre, emerald, and rose-hued pigments. Opposite the sanctum stands the Padmatirtha Lake, its waters tranquil, reflecting the temple's copper-clad Chala Shikara at sunset. Pilgrims bathe at the eastern steps before entering the inner corridors, believing the lake's waters cleanse both body and mind. The Sanctum Sanctorum houses an 18-foot recumbent form of Lord Vishnu, carved from fossilized salagrama stone blended with herbal resin for a lustrous black finish. Adishesha, the celestial serpent, forms a 7-hooded canopy above the deity, each hood detailed with twin flame-like carvings. No one, not even the high priests or the royal family, knows what lies behind the veil behind the idol. It is said to be forbidden to go behind the idol. Vaults lie beneath the idol, ancient, untouched, sealed. What lies beyond that sacred door? Not even the priests or royal descendants know. British colonialists looted India, but not these vaults or the temple. They knew if they touched the temples, a massive religious rebellion would erupt, and they wouldn't stand a chance. They didn't want to kill the golden goose, and in fact, they didn't completely believe that these temples contained immense wealth. Yet they were mistaken when massive treasures were found under the Padmanabhaswamy Temple vaults. And yet, experts say it was just the tip of the iceberg. If Travancore, a small kingdom compared to what the Cholas and Pandyas once were, held such wealth, Sharika wondered, what of the other dynasties? The Cholas? The Pandyas? She stumbled across a theory, only a fragment really, that what was found in Travancore was just a fraction. The Chola and Pandya temples, far richer in their prime, must have hidden their own vaults, vaults that were never rediscovered. That led her to the next link. A news article. 15 years ago, a tunnel was discovered in Tirunelveli near the remnants of a Pandya-era shrine. It led beneath the hills, partially collapsed. No follow-up stories. But one sentence caught her attention. The land is currently under private protection by the Nadar community, formerly linked to royal Pandya and Chola heritage. Her eyes widened. She already knew the descendants of these ancient royal bloodlines survived. And she was also one of them. The Varma community were the descendants of Chera kings, and her roots could be traced back to the Cochin Kingdom, the neighboring realm of Travancore. But the revelation that the Nadar community were descendants of the Pandyas and Cholas reminded her of one name, Sachin S. Nadar. Nadar, which literally means the one who rules land, was the name given to the Pandya and Chola descendants, many of whom were enslaved after their defeat by Marthanda Varma. Some rose again as ministers, merchants, even landlords. Was Sachin a direct descendant of the Pandyas or Cholas? Was that the secret he had inherited? 100 questions stormed her mind. The journey begins. As the sun finally set, Sharika's lens zoomed in on the sanctum of the Padmanabhaswamy Temple, where the reclining Vishnu idol stretched. She had planned her fieldwork across 4 temples, which would last 2 weeks, starting with Padmanabhaswamy Temple. Nandu had also agreed to take leave to accompany her. It was in late February the dates were confirmed, which was convenient for both of them and included the Equinox day. Sharika booked her train from New Delhi to Thiruvananthapuram via the Kerala Express. The PNR showed she was 237th on the wait list, virtually impossible to confirm. Days passed. She monitored her phone relentlessly, then admitting to Nandu that she might not be able to make it or that she might have to travel by road, he simply asked her for the PNR number. The very next day came a message. Your ticket is confirmed. Coach S1, seat number 15. She asked Nandu, but he offered no explanation. He had agreed to join her the next morning, and she had decided to confront him. By 8 p.m., she returned to her hotel room and began checking the footage after copying everything to her MacBook. Coffee and confessions. The next morning, Nandu arrived, wearing blue jeans, a green turtleneck, and his trademark rectangular glasses. Hello, Sherlock, he smiled. Over breakfast, Sharika pounced. How did you get my ticket confirmed? After some teasing, he finally confessed, sipping his coffee. Simple. There's a backdoor in the Indian railway system, a 16-bit code. Once cracked, we can access the entire ticketing network. Confirm, cancel, even block entire trains. Sharika blinked. We? He nodded. There are whole dark web communities who do this. For politicians, businessmen, film crews, anyone. And not only railways, even colleges rig seat quotas. Airlines, buses, almost anything other than banking servers can be cracked. She leaned in. How do you know all this? He shrugged. Before Infosys, I was a hacker for one of those communities. Compared to what we did in those days, yours was a very easy task. One time, 2 years back, in August, I think, we got a request to cancel every ticket on a train, except one. But we got the task at the last minute and we were in a hurry. Due to a glitch, the cancellations failed. Only refund messages were sent. We still got paid anyway. Sharika nearly spat her coffee. Her voice rose in disbelief, echoing across the cafe. What? Heads turned from others sitting in the restaurant. Nandu, unfazed, just grinned. End of chapter.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.